Well, let's start by the fact that Hezbollah lost a lot of its prestige in Lebanon and in the Arab world since its intervention at the instruction of Tehran in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, and of course in fomenting subversions in Saudi Arabia and other places all over the world. I mean, this is a development that Hezbollah had not foreseen at the time, because in 2006, after the war in Israel, he was considered to be the champion. Right now, I mean, Hezbollah has enough power to take over Beirut and Mount Lebanon if it wants to, like it did in 2008. On the 7th of May, in barely 3 days, Hezbollah did that. But right now, because of the deployment of its forces and because of the fact that the Radwan units are to be concentrated in Beirut in order to protect the headquarters of Hezbollah, I think Hezbollah has first and foremost an interest in consolidating its position in Beirut and not to adventure into something that can cost him a lot at this moment. Even though, I mean, he is able to take over the Beirut very quickly, because on the other side, the Christian militias are not to be compared to the Shi'ite militias, and I think that they are deployed to protect the Christian enclave. This is more or less the situation right now. As for Israel, as you said earlier, I don't think that the logic that was that prevailed for years, that because of domestic problems you have to project your power against Israel will solve your internal problems. No, this is not the case. Hezbollah has to protect itself, has to consolidate its position, and the elite units are in Beirut and are not in the south. It doesn't mean that you don't have terrorist attacks and so on, but Hezbollah cannot afford, and neither Iran cannot afford, a counterattack by Israel. And at the point where the Lebanese public is accusing Hezbollah of creating problems in order to destroy Lebanon. This is the basis of our assessment right now, and I believe that this will accompany us in the next few days. It doesn't mean that Hezbollah will not take revenge on those snipers, that will not initiate anything that will create a roll-on going on. I mean, and develop finally into an open civil war. This can happen, and this is what we are right now.
Jack, stay with us. We're cutting to live images in Beirut. There's an active gun battle going on in the streets of Beirut that we can not only see but hear as well. Here, bullets pinging off the sides of buildings in Beirut. We know the Lebanese armed forces are deployed there in force now.
The Lebanese army won't do anything except for, I mean, deploying between the parties. It never did anything, because the moment the army will intervene, it will break down, and there will be no more Lebanese army. We saw that in 1975. The civil war began by firing at the bus. Now this is exactly what's happening. There are snipers firing at the crowd, and the reaction will be let's fire back and fire back and fire back. And this is from something very local, it will develop into a huge demonstration of force, and of course it's an open civil war.
The scenario, sadly, that many, certainly in Israel and around the world, have been eyeing warily here. The fast situation degrading in Lebanon here. The country all but collapsed in recent months. Again, for our viewers, these are live images of Beirut. Today, it's a war zone. 3 people dead, 21 injured, according to the reports coming out of Beirut. It all triggered by a Hezbollah protest through the middle of the city here against the judge that's investigating last year's deadly port blast in Beirut. Now the gunfire erupted on that crowd, allegedly from snipers in the rooftops and windows. Lebanese armed forces deployed. We don't know who else is deployed in Beirut right now. There are multiple armed factions that could be involved in the shooting here. Threats coming from all sides at this point. What we can tell you, there is live gunfire right now on the streets of Beirut. You can hear it right there. We'll be right back in just 2 minutes with much more analysis and ongoing coverage of this situation.